The unexpected. Visitor Sophia. Bennett traced her fingers across the blueprint spread before her, the city lights of downtown glittering through the floor-to-ceiling windows of her studio. It was nearly midnight, but sleep felt impossible when inspiration struck. Her architecture firm had finally landed the contract she had been chasing for 3 years, and she was determined to make this design perfect. The soft chime of the elevator made her look up. She had forgotten to lock the main entrance after her assistant left hours ago. Her heart rate quickened as footsteps echoed through the empty corridor leading to her office. A man appeared in her doorway, and Sophia felt the air leave her lungs. He was tall, probably 6'3", with dark hair that fell across his forehead in a way that suggested he had been running his hands through it. His gray suit was expensive but loosened, the tie gone and the top buttons undone. But it was his eyes that captured her attention, deep blue like the ocean during a storm, and they were fixed entirely on her. "I apologize for the intrusion." His voice was smooth and deep, carrying an authority that made her spine straighten. "I'm Marcus Sterling. I own the property you're designing for." Sophia stood slowly, aware of how her casual jeans and fitted sweater must look compared to his polished appearance. "Mr. Sterling, I wasn't expecting you. Our meeting is scheduled for tomorrow morning." "I know," he said, stepping into her office without invitation. His presence seemed to fill the space, making the large room feel intimate. "But I couldn't sleep thinking about this project, and I saw your lights were still on. I took a chance." She watched him move closer to her desk, his eyes scanning the blueprints with genuine interest. When he leaned forward to examine her sketches, she caught the scent of his cologne. Something expensive mixed with cedar and something uniquely masculine that made her pulse race. "These are extraordinary," Marcus said softly, his finger tracing the lines she had drawn. "You see buildings not as structures but as living spaces where people will create memories." Sophia moved to stand beside him, pointing to specific features in her design. "Architecture should evoke emotion. This lobby, for instance, I've designed it to make people feel welcome the moment they enter." "Like coming home," Marcus murmured, and when she looked up, she found him watching her face instead of the blueprints. The moment stretched between them, charged with something Sophia couldn't name but felt in every nerve of her body. She should step back, maintain professional distance, but her feet seemed rooted to the floor. "Tell me about yourself, Sophia," Marcus said, his voice dropping lower. "Why architecture?" She found herself answering honestly, something about his presence making her forget her usual guardedness. "My grandmother used to say that buildings hold the stories of everyone who passes through them. I wanted to create spaces that made those stories beautiful." "That's poetry," he said, and the appreciation in his eyes made warmth spread through her chest. "I chose you for this project because your portfolio showed soul, not just skill. But meeting you now, I realize the portfolio didn't capture even half of what makes you remarkable." Sophia's breath caught. No client had ever spoken to her this way. "Mr. Sterling, Marcus," he interrupted gently. "Please call me Marcus." "Marcus," she repeated, and watched something flash in his eyes when she said his name. "We should maintain professional boundaries, should we?" he asked, moving infinitesimally closer. "I agree we should, but I'm finding it remarkably difficult to think about boundaries when you're looking at me like that." "Like what?" The question escaped before she could stop it. "Like you feel this too, this gravity between us." His hand lifted, hovering near her cheek but not quite touching. "Tell me I'm imagining it, Sophia, and I'll walk away right now. We'll keep everything strictly professional." She knew she should lie, should protect herself and her career. But the truth tumbled out. "You're not imagining it." Marcus's eyes darkened with something that made her knees weak. "Then we have a problem, because I don't think I can work with you for months and pretend I don't want to know everything about you." "Maybe," Sophia heard herself say, "we don't have to pretend." The words hung in the air between them, an invitation and a confession wrapped together. Marcus's control visibly wavered, his jaw tightening as he fought some internal battle. "This is reckless," he said, but his hand finally made contact, his palm warm against her cheek. "I don't do reckless." "Neither do I," Sophia whispered, leaning into his touch. "But right now, I don't care." Something broke in Marcus's expression, and suddenly his other hand was in her hair, tilting her face up to his. "Last chance to stop this," he breathed against her lips. "Because if I kiss you, Sophia, everything changes." Her answer was to close the distance between them. The kiss started gentle, almost questioning, but within seconds it transformed into something desperate and consuming. Sophia's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer as his arms wrapped around her waist, lifting her slightly off her feet. She had been kissed before, but never like this. Never with this intensity that made her feel like she was burning and drowning simultaneously. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard, foreheads pressed together as they tried to regain equilibrium. "I should go," Marcus said, but his arms tightened around her, contradicting his words. "You should," Sophia agreed, but her hands remained tangled in his shirt. He pulled back just enough to look into her eyes, his thumb tracing her lower lip. "Have dinner with me tomorrow night. Not as client and architect, as Marcus and Sophia." The professional part of her brain screamed warnings, but her heart was louder. "Yes." Marcus smiled, and it transformed his serious face into something breathtaking. "I'll pick you up at 7. And Sophia, prepare yourself because I meant what I said." Everything just changed. He kissed her once more, softer this time but no less intense, before forcing himself to step away. Sophia watched him walk to the door, her lips still tingling, her heart racing like she had just jumped off a cliff. At the doorway, Marcus turned back. "I've been searching for something my entire life without knowing what it was. Tonight I found it. I found you." Then he was gone, leaving Sophia alone with her racing thoughts and the certain knowledge that her carefully controlled life had just been turned upside down by a man with storm blue eyes and a kiss that felt like coming home and catching fire at the same time. The surrender. The dinner Sophia changed her outfit 4 times before settling on a deep burgundy dress that hugged her curves without being too obvious. She told herself this was just dinner, just getting to know a client better, but her racing heart knew the truth. Last night's kiss had awakened something in her that couldn't be put back to sleep. When Marcus arrived at 7 precisely, she opened the door to find him holding a single white rose. His dark suit was impeccable, but it was the look in his eyes that made her breath catch, hungry and tender all at once. "You're stunning," he said simply, offering the rose, "though no flower could match you." The restaurant he chose was intimate, tucked away from the main streets with soft lighting and private booths. Marcus guided her with his hand on the small of her back. That simple touch, sending electricity through her entire body. "I couldn't focus on anything today," Marcus admitted once they were seated, his eyes never leaving her face. "My board meeting was a disaster because all I could think about was seeing you again." Sophia took a sip of wine, trying to steady herself. "I wasn't much better. I stared at blank paper for 3 hours. "Good," he said with a slight smile. "I'd hate to be suffering alone." As dinner progressed, they talked about everything. Marcus told her about growing up with nothing, building his real estate empire from a single property he renovated himself. Sophia shared her dreams of creating affordable housing that didn't sacrifice beauty or dignity. Their conversation flowed like they had known each other for years rather than hours. "You're not what I expected," Sophia said, setting down her fork. "Most developers only care about profit margins. Most architects only care about aesthetics," Marcus countered. "But you want to change lives. That's why I specifically sought you out, Sophia. I researched every architect in the city. Your work spoke to something in me. What did it say?" she asked softly. Marcus reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "That the woman who designed those buildings understood what it meant to long for home, for belonging. I've spent my life building properties, but I've never felt at home anywhere. Until last night, standing in your office, feeling like I'd finally found what I didn't know I was searching for." Sophia's throat tightened with emotion. "Marcus, this is happening so fast." "I know," he said, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. "And if you need me to slow down, I will. But I want you to know something. I'm 35 years old and I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. This isn't just attraction, Sophia. This is recognition." She understood exactly what he meant. "It terrifies me," she admitted. "What if we're wrong? What if this intensity burns out?" Marcus stood, moving to slide into the booth beside her. His arm came around her shoulders, pulling her close. "What if we're right? What if we let fear make us miss the most important thing that ever happened to us?" Sophia turned to face him, finding herself impossibly close to his lips. "I'm not good at letting go of control." "Neither am I," he murmured, his hand coming up to cup her face. "But with you, I want to. I want to surrender to whatever this is between us and trust that it will catch us." "Hold me tighter," Sophia whispered, the words escaping before she could think. "Make me believe this is real." Marcus's arms answered, wrapping around her with a strength that made her feel safe and desired all at once. "It's real, Sophia. More real than anything I've ever known." He kissed her then, in the dim corner of the restaurant, and Sophia felt herself falling, not just into desire, though that burned hot between them, but into something deeper. Trust, hope, the terrifying possibility of love. When they finally left the restaurant, Marcus drove them to a lookout point overlooking the city. They sat in his car, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her, talking until the sky began to lighten. "Come home with me," Marcus said finally, his voice rough with want and restraint. "Not for what you're thinking, though God knows I want you, but just to be together. I'm not ready for this night to end." Sophia knew she should say no, should maintain some distance. But she was tired of being careful, tired of protecting herself from feeling too much. "Take me home," she whispered. Marcus's penthouse was all glass and steel, but the moment they entered, Sophia only had eyes for him. He poured them wine, but neither touched their glasses. Instead, they gravitated toward each other like magnets, unable to maintain distance. "Tell me what you want," Marcus said, his hands framing her face. "Tell me your boundaries, your fears, what you need from me." "I want you," Sophia said simply. "All of you. Your strength, your vulnerability, your truth. I want to stop thinking and just feel. I want to surrender to this fire between us and trust that it won't destroy me." "It won't destroy you," Marcus promised, his forehead touching hers. "It will transform us both into something more than we were alone." As the sun rose over the city, they moved together toward his bedroom, shedding not just clothes but all the armor they had both worn for so long. In Marcus's arms, Sophia discovered that surrender wasn't weakness. It was the bravest thing she had ever done. They made love with an intensity that left them both trembling, but it was the moments after that changed everything. The way Marcus held her like she was precious, the words he whispered about feeling complete for the first time, the tears she didn't hide when emotions overwhelmed her. "I love you," Marcus said as dawn painted the sky in shades of gold and pink. "I know it's too soon, I know it's crazy, but I love you, Sophia Bennett." Sophia looked up at him, seeing her future in his storm-blue eyes. "I love you too," she whispered. "Against all logic and reason, I love you." Marcus kissed her softly, sealing the promise between them. They both knew challenges lay ahead, that combining their lives wouldn't be simple. But in that moment, wrapped in each other's arms with the city waking below them, they both believed in the impossible. Love at first sight. Souls recognizing each other across time and space. The courage to hold on tight and never let go. "Hold me tighter," Sophia whispered again, and Marcus's arms answered, trapping her in the fire of his love. And she had never felt more free,